name is Pablo Ramirez. I'm the lead Biomed here for Kaiser San Francisco. 17 years in January, IUOE Local 39. We're on the verge of what could be the biggest healthcare strike in American history. So the day before yesterday, the nurses in SoCal, Kaiser nurses for SoCal, 36,000 workers in total, put in their 10-day notice. 10-day notice. They'll be coming out November 15th. And then Oregon nurses, 4,000 in Oregon, have also put in their strike notice, coming out November 15th. Here in this building, we have SEIU medical staff and workers. They'll be coming out on strike for 1 day, supporting us November 18th from 7 a.m. on Thursday to 7 a.m. the following Friday. That includes all environmental services workers, all healthcare related technicians, medical assistants, a wide variety of staff. They'll be coming out. The pharmacists will be coming out that day as well, so there'll be no pharmacy available. They've also put in a strike notice for a 1 week long strike. It seems like everyone has followed in our footsteps of this process of voting, of putting in a strike notice, and then actually walking out.
And what were your issues?
Well, for Local 39, our two biggest issues is basically a substandard, sub-industry raise offer. It's going to be it's basically the lowest one we were ever offered, as well as expanded work rules. They want us to start supporting more than what we do now, and by that I mean right now we are assigned to one facility, one site like San Francisco. Under these new work rules, we would be covering, for example, Graveyard Guy would cover two facilities, South San Francisco and here. That really doesn't make any sense. You're just spreading an already thin crew even thinner, and you're offering a substandard wage increase that doesn't even meet the rate of inflation. More work, less pay, we say no way. So we're out here for going on 50 days tomorrow.
So you were short-staffed to begin with? We
were short-staffed to begin with. My specific crew, a full crew is 7. We walked out with only 4 guys. And we walked out about approximately 2 months behind on projects. And we've been out here almost 2 months now, so I don't know when we'll be able to get caught up at our current staffing levels. So they don't seem to care. It's not a big deal. We tell them it's delayed. We don't have enough time. We don't have enough. This is on top of our day-to-day job. It just seems like they don't care, but they keep spending money on buying things that we never use or implement. Really wasteful processes, but that's not the focus currently.
And you have to have a lot of skills.
We got guys out here with 25, 30, 35 years of experience sitting outside here while they've hired out-of-state people to attempt to stop the bleeding, if you will, on the infrastructure here, and they're not even making a dent. The recent rains brought major flooding to almost every facility. They weren't able to help with that. We're going into the colder time now. They're unable to adjust temperatures. It's just like a cascading snowball of issues for every facility. And now with the other unions ready to step out or going to step out, it's really going to shut down this whole operation real fast. I mean, we have so many life-critical systems here, and those critical systems have redundancy built in. We perform maintenance and checks on all of those systems, including medical device systems, gas systems, water systems. We do maintenance and care on all of these systems daily, monthly, as needed, yearly schedules. We do major checks to make sure that everything is always up to snuff, up to code, up and running, ready to use. And at this point now, it's all in limbo.
You're required to do this kind of testing. Is that testing being done now in this hospital?
Definitely not. Definitely for a fact. We have a lot of allies in a lot of these buildings who have shared information, taking pictures. We've had patients come out, share their pictures and stories of things that are happening inside that shouldn't really be happening. Example, a flooded toilet in a patient room that's leaking into the patient. They've tried to stop it 2 or 3 times, but since these guys aren't experienced enough to work in a commercial building, with especially a hospital, they're just putting towels on the floor, and it's just like, these are critical care areas. This should not be happening. That's just one example. There's pictures of flooding. There's pictures of all kinds of down equipment, beds, gurneys, you name it. I mean, this is an operation that goes 24/7. So wear and tear is accelerated more than anywhere else. That being said, without your properly trained maintenance people, without your experience, the problems just accumulate.
And I mean, you have to be certified. You have to do these checks. Where's Cal OSHA? Where are the certifiers saying that they're not doing the job that they're required to do under the law?
Some of these regulating bodies have already visited some facilities. For example, Cal OSHA, OSHPOD, Department of Public Health, Joint Commission. All of these entities have been out to the facilities already. They are aware of a lot of the issues. My assumption is that they give the organization a little bit of time to rectify all the problems, but really nothing's happening.
And the money that they're spending to replace you, bringing in people out of state, I mean, it seems like they're spending a fortune.
I think for my crew of 4 that we have here now, I think they've hired maybe about 10 people from out of state to cover the 4 that we're here now. So I don't know what they're paying them. We do know they're from out of state. A few of them have actually disclosed that. And at the end of the day, they're really not a threat to us because they can't do our job. They're not even being close. Our crew here supports 13 buildings in San Francisco. 13 buildings includes Mission Bay, French Campus, the main campus, some satellite offices, and even there's a new clinic opening up in Salesforce Tower that we're supposed to open up. That was supposed to open up in October, and now that's on hold as well. So it's really just a snowballing ball of problems.
And why would they take a decision? You weren't asking major increases. You're basically trying to keep as you are and your conditions and benefits. Why?
Yeah, I don't, I have no idea really what they're trying to do. You would have a different perspective if the company was in the red or years in debt, or some of these other hospitals, especially community hospitals, who are really suffering to try and keep the doors open. Our organization in 2020 made billions in profits. They made billions in profits, and people say, well, how do you make billions in profits? Well, if you don't have patients coming into the buildings and you just do video chat, you don't need an exam room. You don't even have to even open up some of these clinics. Everything's virtual. You don't use any disposables, taking people's temperatures or changing bed linens or anything like that. So all that savings comes into play. Turns out, they were in the black in the billions. Some people say it's a 2.2 billion. Other calculations are 11 billion over the year. It's just really, it seems to everyone now that it's crystal clear that this is a greed situation.
It sounds like it's out of control. I mean, they made all this money because of the pandemic, and then they're trying to take it out on you and other workers here?
If all the unions who have authorized a strike, approved the strike, voting on the strike, if they all walk out, it's roughly a third of the organization. That's a strong message to the top leadership that we're headed in the wrong direction.
And healthcare workers have suffered, like frontline workers. I mean, it sounds like they don't really care that the kind of effort that you and other workers have given to this.
And that's a very sad thing to say outright, because at least for my crew, I can speak for my crew and the people that I've worked with across the region, that we have no problem going above and beyond. That's our work ethic. We know we work in a hospital. We are not healthcare workers in the traditional sense that we do patient care, but we are the stagehands for that production. We help make sure that medical staff has all of the equipment, all of the systems that they need to perform patient care at the top levels. We ensure that's always available to them and ready for them to use. It's really sad that that attitude has been taken, that maybe we're not that important, or maybe that they can do without or cut costs here. But at the end of the day, without us, this operation can't continue.
And it should be, I think there's a scab law in San Francisco. You can't bring in scabs. I mean, it seems these replacement workers are basically not even trained properly. Do they have licenses to even be in this hospital?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a lawyer enough to say about the scab laws in San Francisco, but they definitely have brought in some replacement workers from out of state.
Well, even to get a job here, you have to certificates, training. I mean, you have to go through, what is the process just working at a hospital?
Kaiser has spent over the years millions of dollars in our training. They send us away to training, factory training. I myself was trained in April on heart-lung machine system in Detroit, Michigan. All those things cost money, and I'm sitting out here. So I can't even give them something back on their investment. I can't even do that. So,
just to work in a hospital requires
absolutely.
all kinds of...
I mean, absolutely. These are very unique operations. They're 24/7. Number one, if you think of your traditional 24/7 operation, whether it be an airport or anything else, this is way more complex. We have major systems that are always online, always ready to go. We have ORs that are on standby for emergencies. We really do our best to keep it A1 all the time.
And the Biomed too. That repairing this equipment. I mean, it's serious.
Right. So I'm the lead Biomed here for San Francisco Hospital. Come January, it'll be 17 years for me here, and this is definitely not the organization that I started with. We were very innovative with our technology. We've digitized the whole operation. We've brought a lot to the table as far as making things more technologically advanced, and all that they feel is replaceable, and they're suffering the consequences now.
I mean, these executives, it sounds like it's happening all over the country. Kellogg, the miners, the John Deere workers. I mean, it seems like the billionaires are not making enough.
I mean, that's what it seems like. All these companies that are having these problems have all recorded, record profits, made money in a COVID pandemic economy where everyone else was shutting down. Your moms and pops, your local restaurants, your local businesses down here, they've all been closing left and right, and these companies are making record profits, and all of a sudden, this is how they repay everybody.
What kind of support do you have in the hospital with the other unions, other workers?
Here, almost everyone's come out and offered, if it's not just a wave and a hi, they've come with food, donuts, pizza, lunches. We've had musical bands. We've had more unions from outside. Everyone's come by and high-fived us for sure.
And some of the workers, who are working with this machinery, are worried that it's not being repaired properly. I mean, it takes time. I mean, even when you're here, it takes time, and then they're trying to bring in replacements.
Yeah, absolutely. No, the replacements aren't doing very much. They can't, and it's just sad.
So what can people do? I know there are hundreds of thousands of union members who are paid to go to Kaiser, and yet, what should workers do and people who support your struggle?
What I would say is, what I would suggest is that you follow us on social media. We're on various different platforms and hashtag Local39. So any social media, and you put hashtag Local39, you'll get connected with our movement. There's multiple people sharing and posting including nurses, patients, other co-workers. They're all posting on Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, and yeah, any of the social medias. Just put Local 39, and you can follow us and support us there. Share and tell your friends.
So people are linking up all over the place.
Yeah, definitely linking up online, and it's been a platform that's helped all of us in that it's not just Local 39, but it's also other unions, union supporters, friends and family. Everyone can follow us and follow, as well as follow Kellogg's and everyone else.
I think workers have had enough in this country.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're boiling over at a point where, you know, we're seeing dumb things now. You know, these billionaires going to Mars and things like. I mean, come on. We got homeless people in every American city, and that's out of control. You know, it's looking like a lot of these cities that have third world country scenery, and it's just over and done with. It's definitely time for some adjusting.
What about the city and county of San Francisco, Department of Public Health? I mean, what are they doing? Hearings?
Yeah, I mean, we're basically spreading the word as much as possible. I don't know what kind of COVID rules people are following, but we're definitely encouraging people to come out and inspect, come out and look, and come out and realize where we're at. We're not in a good place here.
Dylan Broussard, been here almost 25 years in January. 49 days, you know, they're holding down the line, you know, that's what it's about.
What's it like, 49 days?
It's been a little gruesome, but, you know, out of everything bad, something good is drawing us closer together, you know? Our brotherhood, you know, solidarity, you know, all that good stuff. And, you know, if you don't stand for something, you fall for anything. So we're here to ride or die with this thing here. You know, we just want what's fair, and, you know, it's a shame you got to, you know, it's causing, you know, the patient to have to deal with it, but it's on Kaiser. So we're here to ride this thing till it's, you know, till we get what we deserve after them making $11.4 billion this year on our backs, and this is the thanks we get. So it's pretty much for me. My feelings really are hurt, but I'm doing this for the next generation as well. You know, a lot of us guys are kind of older, got a few years until we retire. So if nothing else, you know, we're gonna leave a legacy. These young people got a lot to deal with. So you know, if you don't stand for, like I said, if you don't stand for something, you fall for anything. This place was built on labor, you know, unions. So for them to try to knock us out of a union town ain't gonna happen. So we're thankful for all the other unions that are coming together. You know, but at the end of the day, this fight was by ourselves. But now other unions recognize if they do it to us, they'll do it to the rest of the unions here and other places. So other than that, out of everything bad, something's good gonna come out of it. So we're looking for, you know, the light to shine real soon.
What's your name? They're replacements. They're bringing in replacement workers. Do they know what they're doing?
We had to educate them a little bit. We had to lead by force at first, then we started talking to them, letting them know that, hey, this is a union town. We got, you know, legacies of our parents and mothers and fathers.
There's a general strike here.
Yeah, and they were like, oh wow, we didn't know. So we briefed them real good. So I don't think they'll be coming back next time. So yeah, I've actually talked to a couple that were able to get to them. They were coming from Louisiana, Texas, you know, right to work states, and they don't have an idea what's going on. But we've educated them within the last couple of weeks. So
and they spend a lot of money on bringing these people in. All the money.
They're paying, I guess, like $60 an hour, room and board, food, all, and it's a shit show in there from what we hear. So you know, I don't know why they put themselves through that, but it is what it is.
And the management, the fact they would spend all this money to replace you, you weren't asking for a lot more, nothing, just to keep up with
just the standards. They made $11.4 billion. Come on, knock it off. You know, pigs at the trough, they call it. You know, corporate greed. You know, we're here for the people, we're our family. We just want to be comfortable. You know, San Francisco's a high place to live in Bay Area, so we just want what's right. You know, and that's it. That's all.
John Avalos, the Assistant Political and Community Director of Organizing in NUHW, National Union of Healthcare Workers.
And, you know, Kaiser has unions here, your union. It seems like there's a history of the unions trying to battle for decent wages, decent conditions, mental health workers. I mean, it sounds like a system problem.
Yeah, it's been a long-term problem. Well, you have unions that have been affiliated or been associations of workers in Kaiser that have been been lasting for decades. Kaiser's CEOs and executive board cycles in and out, and they go through different cycles of being anti-union or having more collaborative relationships with their workforce. Right now, they are really anti-union. We're trying to do measures to break all the unions across California, Oregon, and Georgia. We have NUHW has authorized an open-ended strike just last week, and we should be out by the end of the month in November. So we're here today in solidarity with the stationary engineers. It's the same thing. They're offering the two-tiered system and trying to pick off the more senior employees to allow them to get a raise increase while they accept a cut for or lower wages coming in for incoming workers. That's a classic union busting tactic, and unions are strong and holding together against that. And for us at NUHW, we are dealing with a constant neglect to provide decent patient care for people seeking behavioral health, mental health, and substance use disorder treatment. And so we have, the law is that Kaiser should be able to provide access equally to primary care as mental health care, behavioral health care. But people are waiting, to get treatment for anxiety and depression, suicide ideation.
It's gone up.
Take months.
It's gone up because of the pandemic.
The pandemic, the mental health crisis that we've already been facing, the opioid crisis has only gotten worse during the pandemic, and the wait times have gotten longer. And that's actually in violation of the law. So now we're looking at how we can, we've already created new legislation that it's going to require Kaiser to provide timely access.
Maybe criminally prosecuted. I mean, it's a federal law. There are all these laws to protect mentally ill patients, and yet they seem to be ignoring them for profit.
We're going to start to look at that. If we want to look at local and state laws to be enforced. The problem is the enforcement data collection isn't as good as it can be, and Kaiser has devised certain schemes to manipulate the data. It's basically self-reported data that they provide. It's only after they get caught. Recently, there was a fraud case in Oregon where doctors have been misdiagnosing or adding diagnoses without the patient's awareness. That increases their revenue stream that they get. So there's an investigation of that. San Diego, City of San Diego has, I'm not sure if it's a city or county of San Diego, has recently filed a lawsuit against health providers, including Kaiser, the biggest one, that overstates their network of mental health providers. So you actually enroll in Kaiser believing you're going to get access to a certain network, and that network doesn't exist.
Isn't that fraud?
That's fraud as well. So there's like a lot of cases of that. And recently the DOJ has filed a complaint against a lawsuit against Kaiser. I think it's worth $1 billion for actually possibly defrauding the Medicare system, for people enrolling in Medicare. So this is our long-standing, stuff that's happening. Kaiser believes that they can weather this, but their public image is actually going down dramatically. So they're sitting on a lot of money, though, right? What do they have for? They have like $39 billion in reserves.
They say they're a nonprofit.
I think if you just look up closely what the structure is of their corporation, they have within the nonprofit corporation, you have a profit-making body, right? You have the health plan that is the insurance arm that does the administration of enrollees and the revenue that comes in from purchaser fees and enrollee fees. You have the hospital division that oversees the capital of the hospitals. Then you have the medical plans that are actually the doctors that actually are the ones who control, they actually are the profit-making side. They can control a whole revenue stream that comes into their pockets directly, and that's where you have the profit-making body. And they have the most control over what the quality of care is going to be, what the experience and conditions of workers are, and that actually determines, whether we actually have unions that are going to be able to negotiate good contracts, or we have to go on strike and to beat Kaiser up to make it happen.
And some patients have committed suicide. You've had rallies here. Patients have committed suicide.
Yeah, if you're presenting anxiety or major depression and you don't get access to treatment, you might get an intake, but you're not getting treatment, you're not getting the support you need, yeah, your situation worsens, and that results in a lot of it's very common for people to actually, who don't get access to care, to commit suicide.
There are a lot of union members who are members of Kaiser. Their money, they're getting, there are hundreds of thousands.
We're looking at the city and county of San Francisco. The city and county of San Francisco currently has 55,000 Kaiser enrollees. That's city workers, retirees, and their family members. And so they're not getting what Kaiser advertises that they're going to provide. They're not getting access to mental health care at the parity with medical care. And so the city, we're looking at asking the city, Supervisor Chan has stepped up and is looking at how we can provide greater rigor in the health service system to negotiate better, higher quality health plans with Kaiser, so we get exactly what Kaiser says they're going to be providing. And then the other thing that we had a hearing about 2 weeks ago, what came out of the hearing is that all of Kaiser's data that they have to show what the timeliness of getting your appointments is all self-reported. They send that to the Department of Managed Health Care at the state level, and the Department of Managed Health Care doesn't question it because they're actually, they got their finger pressed on the scale. They have the hospital industry, the insurance industry has a lot of, power in Sacramento to actually look the other way when it comes to actually recognizing whether the data that's being collected is adequate. So we're, looking.
I think it's time for public health, national public health in California.
Oh, yeah,
these executives are making, during this pandemic, Blue Cross, these companies have made fortunes. They're getting.
We're seeing the insurance companies are making a fortune. They've actually been enlisted, Kaiser and Blue Shield, enlisted in helping to ensure access to testing and the vaccines. They kind of deal with the governor around that. And didn't work to recall the governor either because of that, probably, getting that deal. And we need a national health care plan. We need we're here, our union is working across California to actually make California the first state in the nation to have single-payer Medicare for all. So
I think in the middle of the pandemic, that would be critical. People are being paid for tests, having to pay for testing, for COVID tests and other things.
Well, it's a battle for the hearts and souls of the people of this country. You have a huge opening of awareness where we all woke up to the need for a universal health care program. That's and we also woke up the need to reform our whole justice system and then as the other side starts to react, now people are trying to recall people who actually are trying to assert a greater role of government in our lives around health care and ensuring civil rights for people, and it's the whole nature of our battle as a nation, is what our nation's supposed to be. I believe that people will win if we organize and keep our eyes on the prize and don't get distracted by all the cultural wars that we're facing. But our holy grail is Medicare for all. I don't know if we can create a national health care plan without having a socialist nation, but Medicare for all is a step in that direction, where we know that our government can recover enough revenue from taxing the wealthy and the corporations to assure that we have.
And there are all these billionaires in California, 170 billionaires, 77 billionaires in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And yet people are having problems.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy that we're in a situation where there's so much wealth and we can't just come up with an agreement and plan how it can be distributed for the benefit of all. But that's the whole history of this country, and why this battle is an ongoing one. This struggle is one we'll never stop. We have to win and then we'll stop, but we're not winning yet.
I work here the local 87, 87. This for support this strike for Kaiser Hospital.
Yeah, local 87. We support the local 39 on the strike. They have to be fair for the worker. Right now, they on the bargaining, so they should need to like be fair for the worker. Thank you.
What's your name?
Ying Shan Mei.
David Grace, doing support with the stationary engineers here. I'm with Local Sign and Display 510, and yeah, the way these stationary engineers have described this, they're actually getting, San Francisco is one of the most expensive cities in America, and they're actually getting less money in San Francisco than they are over in Alameda. So Kaiser really has some explaining to do with that one.
You think it's a general attack on working people?
Cashing in a crisis, they've declared everybody an essential worker, and then they don't support the essential workers with real pay, when you start looking at the idea that in COVID, if you're working in an environment like a hospital and you've got to go home to your own kids and wife and kids, the idea that there should be a secondary place where you can self-quarantine, and the stationary engineers have probably got a lot of extra costs, and if Kaiser's not supporting them with this, that's a real danger. So I would even wonder if Kaiser should lose their business license if they're not even living up to some basic health and safety standards, much less pay standards.
Well, they say they're a non-profit.
Right. Yeah, I was talking to some of the leadership here, and they were saying this is one of the most profitable years ever, and I can't doubt it, but God, I just saw some headline the other day. I don't know that it was Kaiser, but somebody got stiffed with a $54,000 bill for COVID testing.
My name is Margaret Mann. I'm retired from University of California. Asked me $32.99, and I kind of can't believe that my healthcare provider is treating some of its employees this way. And I came because when I retired, I stayed with Kaiser, and I want them to know it's open enrollment this month, and we could take our healthcare dollars elsewhere. And I will. I mean, this is not okay.
My name is Joaquin, and I work with NUHW, the National Union of Healthcare Workers, and we're just here in solidarity with the operating engineers. Our members that work here at Kaiser are also, in solidarity with the operating engineers.
We're out here still because Kaiser is not negotiating in good faith. It's been 49 days now, and we can't even get them to come to the table and talk.
Why is that? They make a lot of profits.
Yeah, for some reason they feel we're not worth what all the other engineers in the area are getting paid, and we think we are, so we're staying out here.
What's your name?
Chris.
What kind of engineer are you?
Stationary engineer.
I work for Local 16. I'm stagehand, a union stagehand. So we're supporting the Local 39 stationary engineers.
And you've faced some other issues, your own union.
Yeah, that's right.
Long hours.
Especially in LA, yeah. So, all unions are under attack right now. We need a union, or we can't organize, and we can't get what we deserve.
It's just like, it's just so beautiful to see, I used to be the United Food Commercial Workers back in the day when I worked at Macy's. I grew up, my dad was a carpenter, uncle's a carpenter, so just to see all the other unions come out after about 3 or 4 weeks, it's just amazing. And with these 10-day strikes, a lot of these businesses, they have no strike clauses. But, after we put our strike clause in, I think our contract was up on the 18th, so we put ours in, and apparently a lot of people didn't know or didn't see, but once they got a wind of it, it's like a wildfire, and it just started to spread, just to see, Local 2, all these other unions, 6, the laborers. I mean, my buddy, he's been out here, so just to see like the older generation, just like wine, get better with time. So it's been amazing, just to see, what I grew up on, and to see these young guys be able to experienced this, and it's just amazing, you know.
You ever been on strike before?
Oh, I've been in strikes before, but not like this. Like I said, I've been on strike with Macy's. We struck for over there at St. Mary's Hospital, over there at CPMC. So this is the real deal right here. So I'm officially been baptized in a strike.
This is hardcore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's life changing. It's beautiful, and just to know that we've been holding our line, ain't gonna let nothing break us. It's an ultimate feeling.